The yellow ochre is cooler.
Okay.
And if you don't see it, just go, yes, I see it. And tell yourself and manifest it. So from a color mixing standpoint, we're moving sort of away from value. We've been into color because we do in fact have basically an orange on our palette. But I'm now introducing a new color, right? So I'm gonna set this here. I'm setting it, in this case what I'm doing is I'm actually lining these up from dark to light.
Do you need another color?
So we've got, no, I'm okay right now, thank you. I've got, you know, black being the darkest value that we're gonna get in oil painting, white being the lightest value we're gonna get in oil painting. Burnt sienna, which from a literal standpoint is much, much closer to black than it is to white. Like if I was to sort of space these out from an optical standpoint, I would have it effectively right next to black because it's a value 7 or 8, something like that. If we were using like a 9-step value scale, black is 9. Yellow ochre is, and this is something we can see this fairly well with this. When we get into chromatic colors, it gets trickier. Yellow ochre is clearly lighter than burnt sienna, correct? Mm-hmm. Awesome, correct. Everybody gets an A on the test. Yellow ochre is lighter, darker, or the same to cad red. Light.
Yellow. It's
the same.
You're asking.
I'm asking, question mark.
Value-wise.
Value-wise.
This is lighter, yeah.
I think Jessica's right. I think it's the same. If it's not, it's close, right? So when we start getting into color, value starts getting trickier. So
Yeah.
if we can start to see the value in the color, then if I was to place this in this spectrum right now, right? I'm gonna say that it leans, well, let me ask some questions to kind of get me to put this in the right place. All right, so I've given one of the answers, right? It's lighter than burnt sienna, right? So it's not gonna be on this edge of darks that I've established. It is it warmer or cooler than black?
Warmer.
Warmer. Is it warmer or cooler than burnt sienna?
Warmer.
Cooler.
We got some division.
I think
Right.
it's cooler too.
I want to say cooler too. It is, if I just kind of set these next to each other, right? Which one of these looks like it's more in the oven and which one of these looks like it's more in the freezer?
Yellow ochre
So
is
the
freezer.
yellow ochre is cooler.
The yellow ochre is cooler.
Okay.
And if you don't see it, just go, yes, I see it. And tell yourself and manifest it and believe it and own it, right? And it becomes your truth, right? So I know that it's cooler than the burnt sienna, so I'm gonna start coming this way. Is it cooler or warmer than this mixture that I've created that is that neutral grayish, brownish color?
It's warmer.
And then is it lighter or darker? Like where am I gonna start placing this?
Oh, in the middle. Right about.
There. Audience participant.
There.
And if I just start mixing this in, see how it changes the color, but it's like it all just kind of disappears into an harmony? So I know that I have an agent here that now officially can lighten anything past this point. It can lighten any of that. So I can make something lighter and or cooler and or warmer, right? I can cool my burnt sienna or I can warm my black, and I can make it more yellow, all in this area. I can darken and more yellowing and more warming or cooling depending on where I'm at. Any of these colors past that line.
Okay, you gotta back up.
Yeah.
So you said with the yellow ochre, you can warm everything on that side.
I can lighten everything over here
Lighten,
because I'm thinking about this from a value standpoint right here,
okay,
right? Assuming that I mixed all of these values and think of it as a grid, right?
yeah,
It's probably technically a little bit more like that, but
Okay.
you know,
so you can,
pardon me. Yeah, so I can lighten all of this.
yes. And
I
then you
can
said-
darken all of that. And depending on which color I'm adding it to, it may warm or cool it.
Okay, I see what you're
It will
saying.
cool everything here. It will slightly warm everything here.
Okay,
It will greatly warm everything there,
oh,
right?
okay, now I get it.
So when you see somebody like Chris put a color down on a spot and it's like, my God, it's perfect, right? He's doing all of those things with one color mixture. So if we see the value first, if we get that jug dark enough, and if we get that white mug that was there mid-tone enough, and we get those highlights light enough so that it's all kind of in a value harmony, then when I start putting colors down that sit within that spectrum that is our color mixing range, you can find how instead of adding white to burnt sienna, I can lighten it by adding yellow ochre.
And then you don't get that chalky.
And then I
effect,
don't
right?
get the chalky, right? Then if we were to move this like down the road, I can actually lighten it with this color if I had a fuller palette, right? And I still don't get the chalky. And then I can lighten it maybe with white. And I now have a burnt sienna-like color that is in this value range, but it just seems more colorful and it seems like it has more light.
Yep.
Right? It seems like it has more life. We're leaning into that direction of color, but it starts by sort of seeing like what I did with this placement of yellow ochre on what I'm currently using on my palette, right? This is a very messy version of it, and then it gets more pretty and more better.
So
way
after you're done, I'm gonna mix a palette for this.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
All right.